You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Each and every weekend, we get to reach out and be able to answer our community's questions. Each and every Saturday and Sunday, I do hope that you've been joining us in the past. If not, you can always go back and listen to those previous shows. So today is a little different. I am actually speaking from my brand new office in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm excited to be able to share with you more of those details of what's to come in 2020 and today. So if there's a little echo in the background, I'm sitting here in a desk in basically a wide open room with no books on my shelves, nothing to bounce that noise off of. So I'm excited for what 2020 holds and what that brings. And, I will share much of that coming on future Friday reviews, but a lot of it has to do with more video, more webinars, more teaching, and trying to basically get our message out, all of our message of how we can get to the underlying root cause and truly heal what ails us. Super excited about this. I really am. I mean, this is what I live for, right? I always say there's two things in my life that I live for, and that is my family and that is my work. And my work, I'm lucky because it means such a huge amount to me. So it's like I have those two things that I love so much in my life, and I get to do them basically all day. So I'm even more excited because when I get to see also these things come to fruition, it's pretty exciting. So I've been looking at an office somewhat like the one that I'm in right now, pretty much the exact one for quite some time, and now it's finally here. So I get to be able to have a space that I can invite people in, I can collaborate with, I can shoot video, I can shoot webinars, I can give presentations, I can invite in small groups of 3, 4, 5 people at a time, and we can have some really nice conversations and really work on their life, their health, their business, whatever it might be in terms of health, the health-based industry. So really excited about that, and I'll talk more about that, like I said, on future Friday reviews. For today, I want to get right into our questions. So our questions are coming in from, and just picking up basically from yesterday, they start on October 30th and October 31st. So if you wrote in on October 30th, your question will have been answered by the end of today's show. So it's this first question is from Ryan. It's a longer one, so I want to get that to you now. What's up, Dr. Cabral? I really think what you are sharing with the world is great. I've been listening to so many of your podcasts recently, and I'm grateful I found them. I will be asking my question outright. Are there or could there potentially be options for patients who received radioactive iodine therapy to reverse the damage done to the thyroid? Somewhat similar to you, by the time I was in my late teens, I was burning out after a long bout of mono at 18, later diagnosed with Graves. Anyhow, I've not done too much guesswork, brought in so many supplements to my health. Unfortunately, I do not understand what it means to truly live a holistic lifestyle until the age of 24, 25, right after I got the radiation done. Okay, this is a very long question. So for everyone who wants to read the question in full, head on over to stephencabral.com/1409. So basically, Ryan goes through all of the different things that have happened to him or her. I don't know if Ryan is a him or her, so we'll just leave it as him or her. And they're basically trying to figure out, is there anything they can do, because they have them on levothyroxine, which is a hormone essentially for the thyroid. And my goal is this. So this is how I can help you, and this is how a lot of integrative health practitioners can help you. What you want to do is see how your thyroid is functioning with whatever medication you are on. So that's basically it. So let's say that you're on levothyroxine. You're on some type of thyroid-based hormone replacement, such as T4. Okay, so what you would do is you would run the thyroid adrenal hormone, now we call it the mood stress metabolism test, and we would see if anything's off at all. Not just your thyroid, though. So remember, your thyroid doesn't work in isolation, and I would love you to go back, listen to my previous podcast on the thyroid. In 2020, I'll be breaking down all these topics by topic. So there'll be a thyroid podcast, and I'll debut that very soon, about 4 weeks from now. But you can simply type in thyroid at stevencabral.com/podcast, and you'll be able to find some shows on that. So here's the thing, though. Cortisol affects your thyroid. Estrogen dominance could affect your thyroid. We can look at heavy metals affecting your thyroid. So we want to look at a vitamin D. I mean, I could go on, right? So that test will give you your answers, and it will also let you know how well your pharmaceutical medication is working. Like, is T4, T3, these are the free versions, free T3, free T4, and TSH. What do they look like? Okay, so what do they look like? Are they good? Because if they're good, then fantastic. You're balancing your thyroid, even if it's with medication. Okay, that's the first step. And I don't want to make this a thyroid podcast, but then what you would do is you could say, okay, can I now get onto natural supplements for the thyroid, nutrients basically for the thyroid, as well as potentially a glandular, and get the same results? And if my TSH starts to go down below a 1, well, then I might be able to work with my endocrinologist or PCP to gradually lower my dosage of the medication. And again, I can't prescribe, I can't diagnose, I can't cure, I can't treat disease. That is outside of my scope of practice. What I do is I help people heal their body from finding out what are their imbalances. That's what we do. So for sure, but the only way I could help you, the only way really any functional medicine doctor or integrative health practitioner could help you is by looking at your labs. It's the only way, because if not, you're just guessing. I can't give you selenium and all sorts of different things if I don't even know that that's an issue. So that's why we test. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Carrie's up next. Again, another longer question, so head on over to episode 1409 to be able to read the full question. Hi, Dr. Brawl. Thanks for answering my question today. I've learned so much from your podcast. Thank you for your commitment to sharing your knowledge. I recently completed your IHP level 1 and level 2. The course was amazing. I'm using the information to heal those in my community and also my family with amazing results. I have a child on the autism spectrum. We've done so much work with her over the last 3 years to heal her sensitive system, and I can proudly say she's developing alongside her peers and thriving in life, but she still has some healing to do. We have done your parasite protocol, which was amazing, and saw one of our last autisms, persistent stimming, disappear overnight. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, just, Carrie, first, yes, we provide the protocols, no doubt about it, but you are doing all the work. And I just know I've worked with so many families with children on the autism spectrum, and the amount of work that they're doing is just, it's almost unimaginable. And so I just want to commend you, and I want to commend every mom and dad out there who has a child with autism. Now it's 1 in 68, so we have quite a few. This is something that I commend you, and I just know the amount of work and patience that it takes. So please keep up the great work, and I'm glad that you're seeing these early results. So let's start to get to what we're looking at. We started the CBO protocol, and we started to see some flare-ups. I know this is the type of flare-up that can happen when healing. I want to know if I should basically push through. So totally understand what you're saying here. What I would do and what I would make sure is that there's not too much die-off right away. This can happen quite often in children who have autism because their gut is so compromised. It's one of the number one things that I learned. So when I became a GAPS certified practitioner a million years ago, one of the things we learned right away is that you have to heal the gut in autistic-based children. But really, you want to think of it more for honestly, almost like any type of childhood-based issue, executive function disorder, I would even say, well, all autism, let's just call it ASD-based issues. So, but there can be a lot of yeast overgrowth and a lot of Clostridium difficile. So what we do is we simply start with one product at a time and only one drop at a time for children, or a quarter of a capsule, depending on what part of the protocol you're talking about. That is the absolute best way to do it. Remember, it will take longer, but if you have a flare-up, do less, and then gradually as there's a little die-off, good. Now open up the liver pathways, making sure you're doing whatever you need to help with that as well, whether it's vitamin C, whether it's liposomal glutathione, all of that will help. If you need a partner in this, then be sure to contact one of our health coaches. I know that you are an IHP yourself, which is amazing, but that doesn't mean that you can't bounce ideas off of a wellness coach on our team too. So, again, please let us know how we can help. I would be remiss if I said that I could help you just over this podcast, but remember, titrating in slowly is a great way to do it. And you also just want to make sure it's not a sensitivity to just like one thing like oregano or whatever it might be, because there's other things that you could do. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you, Carrie, for writing in. Alan's up next. Why do the show notes and resources sections say show notes as there are none? It is a list of different things in the podcast that you mentioned. Okay, happy to answer this question, Alan. We don't provide a transcript, but we provide the notes and the links to the actual podcast. So many popular podcasts do the same exact thing, and we just don't provide a transcript. That's all. So a transcript, I would say, is different than show notes. Show notes are the resources that we mention inside of the actual podcast itself. If you're looking for a transcript, check out a previous show as to why I said I was not going to do a transcript. It's not something that I believe in, and I don't believe that the context or content really that people are looking for are there. My only goal with the Cabral concept is to provide you with all of the information that I've been using in my practice now for about 20 years. So that's it. Hopefully that was helpful. And Joanna is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I am concerning about the daily fruit and vegetable blend, which has a lot of berries and is potentially having a lot of citric acid. Is this okay? Okay. I can answer that. Sure. I think it's just my fault for how I was reading it. And I'm just going to make just a note to clean that up just a little bit. Okay. So there is no issue specifically unless you have a sensitivity surrounding citric acid. Now, citric acid would be from anything, honestly, citrus-based. So it could come from multiple different things. It's also used as a preservative in a lot of foods or different things because of its lower pH. So actually, I spoke about this on yesterday's show with pH. So what happens is this. When you squeeze a lemon into water, it actually has lemon juice is a lower pH. Now, pH just talking about the actual balance of alkalinity and acidity in the actual fluid itself. But what happens is lemon is actually a quite alkaline substance. The problem is, and it's not a problem, is when it's in your mouth and in your stomach, it's going to be acid-based. But then once all of those minerals do enter the system, then they can use that as an alkaline-based source. The main mineral would be potassium in lemon. So this is not an issue unless you have an adverse reaction to citric acid. And, maybe if you have an adverse reaction to, let's say, lemons or oranges, then this may be an issue for you. But for everyone else, it shouldn't be an issue. Again, case-by-case basis. We haven't heard anyone having an issue with it, and thousands of people use the daily fruit and vegetable blend. It's one of our most popular products because it contains 22 organic fruits, vegetables, and superfoods. It's something that we use every day. So hopefully that was helpful. DB is up next. Can you recommend tips or diet and lifestyle for a teenager dealing with cystic fibrosis? So happy to help on this as well. And it's surprising. I don't believe that this question on cystic fibrosis has actually come up before. So just you wrote your initials, DB. I'm happy to help with this. For those who don't know what cystic fibrosis is, this is when genetics do matter. Like, again, I say it all the time that the majority of issues people are dealing with, yes, it has to do with genetics, but the issue is that those genetics only came to fruition because of the rain barrel basically overflowed. I mean, that's the essence of it. There's gut issues, there's heavy metals in the body, there's toxicity buildup, there's poor eating, there's lack of there's so many different things. And when you fix those things, well, then the dis-ease disappears. But cystic fibrosis is actually a hereditary disease that's inherited, obviously with hereditary. But what we need to focus on is that it affects both the lungs and it affects the digestive system. Not a lot of people know that it affects the digestive system. And the reason is because I believe that there's an actual obstruction. There's a blockage created with the pancreas itself as well. So pancreas, we need that for enzymes. I mean, that's vitally, vitally important. But what happens is a lot of people with cystic fibrosis get this really thick mucus in their lungs. It's more difficult to breathe. So what I look at with people with cystic fibrosis is what can we do from both a conventional medicine treatment standpoint, and also what can we do in terms of a natural-based health. So what I do is I get people on the de-stress protocol. I don't work on one thing because I need to basically rebalance the body to healthy levels of inflammation and put them on a lower mucus-based diet as quickly as possible. So I remove food sensitivities that are going to create mucus in the body. I run a food sensitivity test. I get them on a very clean plant-based diet because remember, the more dairy you're adding in, typically, you're going to start to produce a little bit more mucus. At least that's what I've seen in my practice. And I go absolutely more plant-based. And I'm definitely using smoothies, but I'm also keeping a food journal as what causes more mucus, and those foods are out. I also pay more attention to food combining with people with cystic fibrosis. I make sure that I'm getting a amount of cardio and exercise that their doctor says is okay, because I want to open up the lungs as much as I can, and I want to clear that mucus too. I'll do dry sauna. Again, with the doctor's permission, I'll do dry sauna as well. So there's so much that we do in order to help the person live the longest, healthiest life that we can. And again, I'd love to be able to give you that customized program, but this is something where really you need, since it's a true disease, you need to have an MD and you need to have a really good functional medicine doctor, integrative health practitioner, someone that can work with you on the natural health standpoint to combine the two, and that's absolutely the best of all worlds. All right, thank you, DB. Van City is coming up next, and they wrote in, when feeling sick on occasion, what do you recommend eating? I don't eat as much wheat anymore, but my go-to is toast. Okay, yeah, really good question. So when you're feeling sick, my go-to right away is to start to fast. Now, I know that seems kind of crazy, and I don't do it with every case. If the person is feeling very, very weak, we do not fast them. It's not a good idea because it places a little bit more stress and depletion on the body. But if I can have the body do this, so this is what I want to do. I want to fast, fluids, and rest. I wish I could get another F in there, but I can't. I can't think of one right now. So you basically want to give your body back as much energy as it can in order to ramp up those white blood cells, move them through your body, and fight the virus or bacteria. So that's what we do without a doubt. And I mean, we're not going to fast like way throughout the day, but we might just do something easy to digest like broths, or we might do smoothies or smoothie bowls, especially if there's a fever. So we definitely do that. We make it easy to digest, green juices, simple to digest, no heavy meals, extra sleep. I know I said 7 to 9 hours. You can get more than 9 hours when you're not feeling well. A midday nap will also help. What else can you do? Sauna. I know that you didn't ask any of this. You just asked what to eat. But sauna, again, if you don't already have a fever, you don't need to go in a sauna if you have a fever. Okay, that's not a good idea. But if you need to create that internal fever, that's what I do all the time. So some people's bodies are so efficient at creating a fever. Mine is not. Ever since I got Addison's disease at 17 years old, my body I never get a fever. I mean, I could not tell you the last time I've ever had a fever. So it's not good. It's not a good thing for me to destroy viruses and bacteria in my body. My body does not naturally create a fever. It's not a good thing. That was something that didn't really bounce back after I repaired that by 27 years old. It just never came back. It's crazy. I know that seems insane, but it just never happens. So what I do is I go in the sauna and I go in there and I create my own internal fever. I heat up my body so that I can create the same thing as what a fever would do and start to move that flow of white blood cells. And also by creating internal fever, I can kill a lot of those viruses on their own. So that is what I do. Eat light, eat clean, no heavy meals, no heavy fats, no heavy proteins that take too much energy to break down. Keep it to smoothies, smoothie bowls, broths. And again, I'm not talking about for a week or too long. I'm talking about a couple days until you start to get better. And then, of course, use your herbs, use your immune-based protocols to boost your immune system. And I've done many podcasts for children and adults on what to use when you're not feeling well. Vitamin C, oregano oil, there's so many great things, right? So I've done podcasts on what to do, what I give to my kids, and of course, that's what I recommend for you as well. Okay, one more question coming in from Joanna. Maybe a different Joanna, maybe the same as before. Hi, Dr. Ball. I've been having this ongoing upper left abdominal discomfort for almost a year, where the stomach is and now radiates to the lower back. I've had multiple tests, endoscopies, all clear. Abdominal ultrasound did not show any gallstones. Blood tests early this year to check for pancreatic enzymes, all normal. I take HCl. It gets worse after a meal, sometimes when stress or exercise, but mainly after meals. I just can't pinpoint it. I've tried everything. When I'm relaxed or only eating shakes, for example, I don't get any feeling. When I did the 21-day detox, the 2 fasting days, I had no upper sensation, but the day I introduced food, it came back. It was worse in a stitch in the upper left. It's a tough one. Do you have any insight if this could possibly be pancreatitis, as the pain radiates to my upper left back? How could you naturally treat pancreatitis? Okay. Thank you, Joanna, for writing in. So you know that I can't treat disease. That's not what I do, right? So what I do is I stay within our scope. So here's what we can do. We don't know if it's pancreatitis. You pretty much ruled it out with your multiple lab tests. What I would say is this. When you do liquids and you do smoothies, it's not an issue. I mean, think about that. If you took your typical meal and you blended it up, it's pretty easy. So it says, when I'm relaxed or only eating shakes, I don't get any of the feeling. Okay. So, if you put a healthy fat in your shake and you don't get that pain, what we're really talking about now is a different digestive process. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of smoothies, because it's almost no real digestive process. It's been liquefied. It's also why food combining is much easier when you do a smoothie, because everything's been blended up. Your body doesn't have to do a whole lot of breaking down. It's not a big a deal. So here's the thing though, and you gave me a lot of insight, so I appreciate you writing in with these questions. Here's what we want to look at is there could be an issue with stomach acid production, bacterial fermentation in the stomach itself, H. pylori, histamine issues, or a hiatal hernia issue. Those 4 or 5. So basically I named an acid issue in the stomach, H. pylori, a fermentation issue, meaning slow stomach motility, moving it out, or I mentioned a hiatal hernia issue. So any one of those things is what I would explore. The best way to test for H. pylori is a stool test. No doubt about it. In my opinion, it's the best way to do it. We have something called a parasite and bacteria test right at equilibriumnutrition.com. We can find all of our labs. You can do it right at home. It's a 3-day sample, which means you have 3 opportunities to see if you caught it, right? That's why it's the best test. 3 days is way better than 1 because you have more opportunities to find if that thing was found. So I'm a huge fan of that. And then I would also test monomeals. Like what happens if you only have, just have a piece of fish? Does that cause it? Okay? It does not. Good. Okay, well, just try a big or 2 cups of broccoli. I know this is strange. Does that cause it? So start to look at what it could be. It could be just fats. And then, okay, maybe that is an issue with you breaking down fats. Or it could just be heavy proteins or just meat. So begin to explore this. This is what I call a rotation diet or testing theories. You're obviously not going to eat just fish at a meal for the rest of your life. But you can explore theories and hypotheses. And this is why we are able to help, I believe, everyone in the world. Here's why. Because we simply never give up. We explore hypothesis. You just told me you don't get it when you're on a liquid diet. So it means it's not really food, but whole food that's the issue. Now, is it protein, fat, or carbs? We can check them out. What if it's cruciferous vegetables? Is that the issue? What if it's not plant-based protein, but it is animal-based? What if it's not animal-based, but it's beans because of the fermentation? So remember, you can figure everything out. Just keep a journal. Stick to your hypothesis of what it could be. Work the progress and the process, and I guarantee you're going to figure it out. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the show. I appreciate you so much more than you could possibly believe. Thank you so much. Come back tomorrow. It's our Motivation and Mindset Monday, one of my favorite shows of the week. It is our way to get inspired, to get the week started right, and hopefully get you set on track to have your best year yet. Take care, everyone.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.